Hi and welcome back to Green Pro. We've recently done a video covering the entire process from end to end of our new solar PV roof design tool, but here are just some quick clips of various sections. Firstly, the quick quote design tool. So if you click on roof design on your solar PV tool, it will open up a Google Street View of the property that you've selected. So as you can see here, it says, please click the correct property on the map. So we're going to click on our property and continue to roof design. What this will do is it will load the imagery from Google Maps. Could take a while depending on the quality of the image and where you are in the country. So the first thing we're going to do is add our first roof section. So if you click on add on the right hand side, and then you want to start by clicking on each corner of the gutter line first. So I'm going to go to the gutter line up to the apex of the roof and then back down. And what this will do is if you draw the gutter line first, it will automatically detect which direction that roof is facing. If you don't think it's quite right, then you can click on these various areas of the compass to show the correct direction. But it should, in pretty much all cases, if you've drawn the gutter line first, be as accurate as it can be. It will label that section for you, which is important, particularly if you're doing more than one roof section. And it will also select a pitch. We've given the most common pitches here, but there is a custom option if you would like to change the degrees of the pitch, if you know what it is. I'm going to go with 35, and it will also give you the orientation from south. If you think you've drawn it a bit wonky, you can go back and adjust the shape. But we'll just move on to the second section here. I'm going to add a second section on this roof. So I'm going to go back up to add in the top right hand corner, click on the gutter line first, and then draw my roof section. And then that will do exactly the same thing. So it will detect which direction it's facing. It will give me the pitch and the orientation from south. So then I click done. And you can see my two different roof sections appropriately labeled with the pitch, orientation from south, and also the projected square meterage space of that roof. So if we go to next, what that will do is open up the new solar PV tool dashboard, if you like. So you've got your roof sections here and then the process of coming through. So we're going to go through the quick quote today. So if you click on this first, it opens up your panel visualizer. So this is just panel placement. At the moment, we haven't selected a panel, so it's just given just panel dimensions, generic panel dimensions, which means it thinks it can fit this many panels on. If you know, for example, there's a chimney or a roof light and you want to remove a panel, simply click on it. If you remove one by accident, just click on the green plus and you can add that back in. And you can also change the orientation. But you'll find that the panel count will reduce depending on the orientation. I'm going to select my equipment. So I'm just going to select the panel here. And as you can see, because it knows the dimensions, it tries to fit as many as it can in the square meterage that we've got with those panel dimensions. Can select my mounting system as well, and also indicative shading. So I'm going to say that there's light shading here, because I'm aware of the property and I know where it is. If you don't know yet, then you can keep it as no shading until you go out and do a full quotation and do the full shading analysis. So I'm going to say light shading for this one, then move on to my next roof section. It will remember the panels and mounting system from your previous section. If these change, then you can obviously just change them on the drop down. And also you can remove any panels that you don't think will fit. Put those back in. And then I'm going to select no shading on this particular section of the roof. And then we move to done. And this will then go to our inverter and battery selection. Now, as you can see, you can choose two different types of inverter, so hybrid or string. If you select a string inverter, it will untick this battery box and it will not allow you to include a battery on a string inverter. If you have a hybrid inverter, it will tick the box automatically, including battery. If you're not including a battery at this point, then you can still just untick that box and move on. So I'm just going to select my inverter here. And then I'm also going to select my battery. It'll give me the images, as you can see. And then we move on to save. And that'll take you through to the basic details for the quote. So it'll pull through your customer information and your information, all of the equipment that you've just selected, and then it'll ask you some questions regarding what you want displayed on the quick quote PDF. So the first one is what comes after this quote. So that can depend. We've given you the options of a full quote, site survey, contract signing or installation. Because this is a quick quote, this wouldn't be going straight through to contract signing because we need to do obviously a full proper quote for this customer. So I'm going to say full quote, but depending on what you select, this text will change. So make sure that you're selecting the right one so that the right text will be displayed. And then which disclaimer do you want to show? I'm going to want to show the quick quote disclaimer, which basically says, this is a guesstimate. We've done it from satellite imagery and mapping. So it could be that it's slightly different depending on the condition of your roof, the access, pitch, and the amount of panels we can actually fit on there. And then I'm going to select yes to equipment specifications, but you can say no to that if you like. And then we have this what's included and not included tick list, if you like. So what would you like to be shown is going to be included in the final price that you're quoting on this quote. So are you going to include scaffolding? Are you going to include installation, obviously, system commissioning, testing, MCS certification, building control, and so on? And then these are the optional ones. We've defaulted these to no, but if you do include these, that's absolutely fine. Or if you'd like to look into being able to, then you can offer to be finalised, or you can just not show that line at all. So what we've defaulted to no is things like repairs to pre-existing electrical or roof defects, planning permission outside of permitted development, so if it's in a conservation area, and removal of hazardous materials, things like that. So we have defaulted those to no, but if you do offer that, then obviously you can tick those to yes, and they will show as included. We're going to put our total price, and then will a loan be used to pay? We're going to say yes or no. Obviously only select yes if you have the appropriate approvals to offer that kind of service. And then we're going to do current usage and tariffs. I'm going to assume home half day. I don't know the annual consumption, so I'm going to use the MCS annual average, which is 3,500 kilowatt hours. And then we have some default prices for current import cost and export cost. So I'm going to leave those as they are. And then that will generate your quick quote, which will then you can download as a PDF. So I'm just going to download that. And this will open as a PDF, which you can then download and share with your customers. So the PDF looks a bit like this. It'll have your company logo on it, as well as the Google image of the roof sections that you've drawn. It will have the system size and panel layout, so how many panels we think we can roughly fit on those two sections, what we think the capacity will be, the main components that you selected in the equipment specification, and the price that you included. It also gives a quick estimate of system performance. So without solar, carrying on as you were, this is how much it would cost you. But with solar and battery, we've suggested these are the savings and what your self-consumption will be. They're also included in this little box here, as well as an estimated payback period. Then we have your what's included and not included. So all your yeses and nos from the previous section. And also, obviously, if you put do not show, then they would not be listed here. A quick next steps, which would be your company details, and then the equipment specification, if you've selected yes, which is your panel, inverter and battery, with a brief description, features and benefits, and any warranty information that we have in the equipment list. And that's your quick quote. Thanks very much for watching.